Hello everyone, good evening. Welcome to this IACRC IO. Today's topic is problems of data-based decision making. In today's world, when we are making any important decision or any taking important policy or any important measure, we always first look at the data or the statistics because data or the statistics reflects a whole picture of the situation. Like in this pandemic time, the data like the condition of the state or country, the efficiency of a drug against the COVID, or the capability of the healthcare system is very much necessary. On that basis, we actually fight to that coronavirus because on that basis, we will understand where we have to send money, where we have to send more infrastructure, or which drug we will choose to fight to this COVID-19 or the pandemic. And every time before giving an opinion or giving a suggestion, expert generally says, well, what does the data say? Once upon a time, George Bernard Shaw said that it is the mark of a truly intelligent person to be moved by statistics. But data can be misleading. Because many times it is seen that a set of data has something lurking inside it, and that can turn the result completely upside down. What I want to mean that means if I look at the data, in very first look, it is showing some trend or showing some result, giving some result. But if we study the data, the same data very thoroughly or more rigorously, then we can find the result got completely opposite, or maybe the train got completely reversed. It's 180-degree opposite, and that can happen many times in the history. We can see it in economical cases, we can see in economics, or maybe in the social sciences, medicinal sciences, chemical sciences, biological sciences. In that case, every time there's the experiment, we can see this type of result. Now, here is an example of this type of result or this type of misleading data. Is it a drug test result problem? Let us take there is a two drug for a particular disease, and a drug regulatory authority wants to know that which drug is more efficient. So what did it do? They took two drugs and give to institution to run some test on some patient and report the result to the drug regulatory authority. So now institution 1, what did they do? They took the drug A and tested over 100 individual, and the recovered individual is 40. On the other hand, the drug B tested over 10 individual, recovered individual is 5. So the success rate of drug B is 50%. On the other hand, the institute 2, what did it do? They took the drug A and tested over only 10 individual, and recovered individual is 1, success rate is 10%. On the other hand, the drug B tested over 100 individual, and the recovered individual is 20. The success rate is 20%. So what you can see that from these two results, the drug B seems to be more efficient than drug A, and the both institution reported that the drug B is more efficient than the drug A. Now, what does the drug regulatory authority did? Now, the drug regulatory authority took the data from both institutions and combined it. And this combined result, something fascinating. Because if we look at the combined result, here it is that drug A tested over total 110 individual, and the recovered individual is 41, whereas the drug B tested over 110 individual and the recovered individual is 25. If you look back, there is 20 plus 5, 25, and 40 plus 1, 41. And in every case, there is total individual is 100 plus 10 and 100 plus 10, 110. So that means the success rate of drug A is here more than the drug B in the aggregated format. So what did they do, the drug regulatory authority? They declared the drug A is better than the drug B. That means we can see in a disaggregated format, the drug B is more efficient. In the aggregated format, the drug B is more efficient. Now question, which one is more efficient, A or B? Now I want to ask the response of the listeners, and moderator, please coordinate me. You can write in the chat box which is more efficient, and moderator will tell me. I will stop for 1 minute. Or you can turn on your mic and give your opinion also. Anything.
Uchishwan, shall I say something?
Yes, yes, fine, fine.
Okay, what is, I want to know you, uh, my dear child, that how have you collected your sample? I mean, are the sample bases are equal? How did you apply it in this way, just taking the ratio and giving your tasting result? What are the assumptions? Because your sampling techniques will say a lot on you. Okay? So, how have you combined the two data on the basis of your just ratio and proportion? This is my question.
Okay, that means that you want to say that when how does this experiment is happen? That means that sampling is always it is random or it is some selective or not.
Yes, that is important because if you're applying drug, then it is related to the health issues, of course, and that health issues take much more parameters. I mean, in their domain. So the
Okay,
sampling technique is very much important to get your result, and on that basis, your sampling techniques, I mean, test statistic will follow, and on that basis only you can carry on your hypothesis testing. That is the way the testing is carried out.
okay, but if for the time being we can put aside the other variable and we can keep only this result, because now for the time being I want to take a simple example, because if I put the other variable like the severity of the cases, age of the person or the gender of the person, then it will be get more complicated. But now I want to keep this result because it is a imaginary experiment, it is not an actual real example. So that's why I want to keep this result. I want to ask that if this result is shown anybody and it is taken that yes, this experiment was done as on RCT, as let's taken this is randomized control trial, then what will be the result will be taken, the drug B or the drug A, either
Yeah.
aggregated or the disaggregated? Is
You're
anyone?
strictly asking on the basis of the data that is given, nothing more
Yes,
than.
yes, nothing more than that for the time being now. Anyone? Anyone?
For me, it seems according to the data supplied, at least the aggregated data that is supplied, drug A seems to be more efficient.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone other? Anything in the chat box?
No, there's nothing.
Okay, let me proceed. So we can get one opinion that the drug B, that means, the drug A is more efficient because it is an aggregated format. So here we will believe in that result, which is aggregated format. Let's look at the real
Hello,
problem.
I have a different opinion
Okay,
because in my regard that aggregation should not be done. So I completely disagree.
okay.
Okay, can you show me the slides once again, your result? That is for drug A. It is success rate is 40. For drug B, I mean, only your sample is 10. And for in second place, that is 10, and B is 100. Okay, I think it should be drug A. I think
Which
because
one?
out of which one? I'm in Institute 1 and Institute 2. Okay. In case of Institute 1, I cannot take 10 only on the basis of 10. It's a small sample. And
Okay,
in the large sample, the normality distribution, I mean, the normal assumption, you know that it follows. So in that case, drug A, because distributionally, these two, I mean, diametrically differs. So drug A, in case of Institute 1, is more efficient. That's my opinion.
okay. That
Because it,
means you want to say on the
yeah,
basis of sample
aggregation
size.
cannot be possible in this way. Uh, in that sense, I maintain my opinion.
Okay, okay. Let me proceed. Okay. So now let's look at real problem. So racism. Few months back, there was the Black Lives movements, Black Lives Matters movement were all over the USA, and also it's throughout the world also. And it's a very burning issue in the USA from very early days. Now look at a Supreme Court case. in USA. The case was the Furman versus Georgia. Actually, what happened? One person, one murder convicted person, was given death penalty by the state court of the Georgia. But the lawyer of this person filed a case in Supreme Court and argued that, or maybe questioned the judgment and told that this judgment is racially biased because the convicted person or the defendant is a black man. Now, what did the Supreme Court do? The Supreme Court took the data all over the USA and they take a look on the data and they studied on the data. And what did they found? They found there are the more chances of a white man if they did a murder or getting a death sentence, whereas the black man it is less. So that means there is the no racial bias, and on that basis the Supreme Court gave the judgment, and on this followed the person's death penalty is the person was gave the death penalty and he got hanged. But on this matter, this is blow out the entire USA because these type of cases came on before on the 1972 and after the 1972 also. So this phenomenon provoked lots of the social scientists to study, is there any racial bias or racial discrimination in the American judiciary system at that time. So one of the one is the Mitchell Redlit. It is the front page one of his paper. What he did, he studied over 600 homicide incident in the 20 Florida counties from 1976 to 1977. He collected all the homicide data and tried to find in which cases the death penalty is given and what is the race of the defendant. Okay, so here mainly he was that took in the homicide over the non-primary homicide. That means the homicide between the strangers. Because if the victim is known to the defendant, then what happened? That sometimes there will be the many other issues like that property dispute, love relationship. In that case, the murder would be happen. But for the strangers, that means in case of the burglary, in other cases, and in this type of data or this type of cases, is their death penalty is given or not? So what I told that it's 1981 paper and he studied from the data of 1976 or 1977. Here is the result. The total convicted white person was 160. The defendant race is white and the death penalty given out of 160 is 19, and the total black defendant was 166 and the death penalty is given 17. That means if you are a white person, then and if you are doing a murder, then percentage of getting death penalty is 11.9, and if you are a black person, then percentage of getting death penalty is 10.2. That means if for a white person getting death penalty or for my murder charge, it's more higher than a blacks. That means there is no racial bias, which reflects the Supreme Court judgment in 1972. Now, the Mitchell Redlit did not stop there. He studied furthermore and he divided the data or maybe disaggregated the data on basis of the victim's race also. Is the victim is black or white? Here is the result. That if the defendant race is black, it is divided into two more groups. It is on the basis of victim race, it's white or black. In case of the white also, white defendant also, the victim's race also divided into two groups, black and white. What we can see, if a black person killed a white man, then or white human, then what we can see that its percentage of getting death penalty of this black person is 17.5%. On the other hand, if a black person killed a black man, then percentage of getting death penalty is 10.7%. On the same time, when a white man killed a white man, then the percentage of getting death penalty is 15.3%, which is less than when a black man killed a white man. On the other hand, when a white man kills a black man, the percentage of getting death penalty is 0%. So that means that something is there in that data, that there is something in some racial discrimination in that time of American judiciary system on that basis, because here we can see when considering the case involving the white victim separately from the cases of involving black victim, it appears the black defendants are more likely to be sentenced to the death penalty. And also one thing, that racial discrimination can come when a black man killed white normally and white man killed black man, because at that time the case of the racial dispute and question of the racial dispute is coming, and in that case we can see that when a black man killed white man, it is the highest rate of percentage, and a white man killed a black man, it is just 0%. That means the no death penalty is there. So here is the same question is arise again, that what should I believe? There is the aggregated data or the disaggregated data? I will ask same to the viewers or listeners. What should I believe? Aggregated or disaggregated? In that scenario. Hello? Hello?
You can
Yeah.
put your
Think.
you can put your answers in the chat box, or you can
Chat box also.
or you can say directly.
Just give your opinion. Don't hesitate. Anyone.
Largely people are saying disaggregated. So Gaurav, Apurva and Ritam are saying disaggregated. Triti has also said disaggregated. Mostly
Okay.
people are disaggregated.
Okay. So in that case, we are taking the disaggregated result now. So now the questions come. So decision making is not very easy. Should we aggregate or disaggregate? So in the first case, what we see that is there was a problem. Actually that was a thought experiment. When you're doing an experiment, there is chances of getting we can get a chance to put the same weightage for the experiment. But in that case, where it is in a racial question of the racial bias, in that case we can't put this in like the same weightage, because we can't put that kill the same white man and the same black man. It can't possible because it's reality, because it would be random. But in first cases, we can put the same weightage for two drugs. But they are also the same thing. But let me think about the experiment was that easy as it is in the first case. In that case, we aggregated the result in that, and in the second case, we had disaggregated result. The questions comes, we aggregate or disaggregate. Actually, these problems stated, this is an example of Simpson's paradox. What the Simpson's paradox is, it's told the Simpson's paradox is ubiquitous in the misinterpretation of data. It is said to be present whenever a relationship that appears to exist at an aggregated level disappears or reverse when it disaggregated or viewed within levels. That means that in the first case, we can see that when it is in disaggregated level, it is showing that drug B is better, but in aggregated level, it is showing that drug A is better. In the second case, we can see in the aggregated level, the chances of a white man getting death penalty or sentenced to a death penalty is more, and the chances of a black man is less. In the case of disaggregated result, the chances of the black man get increased. So this is called as Simpson's paradox. This is a statistical paradox. A common mechanism for displaying the data that manifested such reversal phenomenon through a multi-way contingency table. Often it's 2 into 2 into 2. Maybe it's 2 into 2 into 5 also, or 2 into 2 into 6 also, 2 into 2 into 3, anything. The last variable, that means can be anything. But now for the timing, we are considering into 2 into 2 into 2 for the simple thing. Now, what is for example, in the case of the Florida State case, what is these variables are? First variables are that the race of the victim, it is black or white. Second case, the race of the defendant, it's black or white. Whether the death penalty was imposed, yes or no. In case of the drug test result, what was the variables? Variable is 2 drug A and B. Variables are 2 institution 1 and 2. And the third one is whether the drug is effective or not. That means yes or no here also. So these 3 variables are stated as follows, like that: comparison group, outcome variables, and the lurking variables. Comparison group means the variable I want to compare. In the first case, the 2 drug. In the second case, that means the death penalty case, is the race of the defendant. This is the comparison group. And the outcome variable, on which basis we are comparing these 2 groups. This is the outcome variable. The outcome variable in the first case is that the drug is effective or not. In the second case, it whether the death penalty was imposed or not. And the third one, it is the most important, that the lurking variable or the variable which is hidden. In the first case, the lurking variable in the two institution, like that, if lurking variables means which variable actually hide it and which is not present in aggregated format. If we consider the lurking variable, or on the basis of the lurking variable we disaggregated the main aggregated result, then we can find a reverse trend. This is the lurking variable. In the first case, the lurking variable is the two institution. Like if I took the aggregated result of the first case, then we see one result. If we divide it on the basis of two institution, then it is got different. In the second case also, if we divided the result on the basis of race victim, then the result got opposite. So this is the lurking variable. In the second case is the race of the victim. In the first case is the two institution. So up to this is, I think it is clear. Is there any question? If no, then I can proceed.
Yeah, can you explain the lurking variable once again, please?
Okay, see, lurking variable means that's a variable which is hidden, or in the aggregated format, which variable we did not consider. Like in that case, in aggregated format, we did not consider the victim's race. So lurking variable is the which variable on which basis we are dividing the comparison groups. That means we are dividing the comparison group into two parts here on basis of this lurking variable. Or in the first case, you can see that this is the aggregated format, the drug A and the drug B, and here is the lurking variable at two institution, on which basis we are dividing the drug A into two groups, when it's institution 1 and institution 2, in the drug B, institution 1 and the institution 2. Is it clear?
Yeah, clear now.
Actually, lurking variable is a variable which you which you are not considering right now, but that can affect your main variables from outside. But for the present case, you are not considering or not incorporating.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So is that a kind of latent variable?
Of course,
hidden but
it is a type. Shall I say? I'm sorry,
Yes,
perhaps
yes,
I'm
no problem,
disturbing
no
you.
No problem.
no.
Yeah, actually, by some property, it is the same. Okay,
Okay.
but there are other issues which I can say you later, because otherwise it will disturb the seminar. Okay, this is very nice seminar. I'm enjoying.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Let me
Yeah, thank
proceed.
you, ma'am.
Now go to some history of that, from where it started. So it was first stated in the book Biometrica by G.W. Euler in 1903, this type of phenomenon, and later Edward Simpson published a paper on Journal of Royal Statistical Society, and on that paper he actually defined this phenomenon very integrated format, and on his name it is called as the Simpson's paradox, but it's actually introduced by G.W. Euler. So that's why sometimes it's called as Euler-Simpson's paradox, but popularly is known as the Simpson's paradox. Now, where we giving a graphical representation of the Simpson's paradox, what we will considering here, the X is the comparison group and Y is the outcome variable. Here is the result. That there is that X, this is the comparison group, and there is the outcome variable on which the measuring has happened. Let's forget about this colored line, red and the green. Now, if you got a data set like that, there is the spot like that, fourth spot here and the fourth spot here, and if you want to draw a trend here, then what we will do, we will take the median for these two result and giving this line, giving this trend. Or if you want to check that, or you can put this result in any type of software like Mathematica or MATLAB or anything, or maybe in Origin also, in simple Excel also, that you can get this type of result if you not mention it as two group. Now, whenever you are mentioning this as a two group like that, as a red group and the blue group, then the result got completely changed, that its trend got completely reversed. That means the first case, what we can see, that when the X is increasing, Y is decreasing, but when we are separating in the basis of two lurking variable. Here is the lurking variable is represented as to the color, or maybe two, you can say two classes. Then the trend got changed that x is increasing as y also increasing at the same time. It will be more clearer with this result. You can see when it's all sorted like in a black spot, like the all samples are taken as a same sample, then we can see this type of trend that when the x is increasing, y is decreasing. But if we divided this sample into 5 subgroups, then got it completely different trend. Okay, so in that case, we can state this group as a Z, or maybe the subgroup as the Z, which represent a different color and the different level of the Z. And this Z is actually the lurking variable is here, or the hidden variable is here. Okay. So, is there any confusion on the graph? I think no. It is pretty much clear. If we represent graphically, then it will look like that. Is there anything? I think no. Hello?
Yeah, if the black line, what we are drawing, this red line, this one is the median of all the data.
Yes.
And these individual lines, they are the pointing toward the most variance in individual data.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
I think you shouldn't refer to it as a median. It's more like a regression line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, this is the fit. This is the real fit, where you can find, you can take a decision on the basis of the scattered plot.
Yes, if I do a linear fit.
Yeah, how much dots are not lying on your fitted line, fitted value. This plot is very nice.
Yeah.
This is useful.
Actually, this thing actually happened in case of the biological science, also in chemical science also. This is an example of that. It is collected from Wikipedia.
No. Any kind of testing, in any cases of testing everywhere, in social science and statistics everywhere, yeah, this plot is useful.
Yes. Now, we can understand there is a paradox. Still now we agreed that there is a paradox. We are seeing that in aggregated level is one thing and disaggregated level is one thing. Now, we have to look that why is this paradox is happening? Is there any reason behind that? So we have to find it in mathematical. Like this. This is the take as the two type of comparison group here, A small and the one is large. If we compare is a by small b, it is less than capital A by capital B. Small c by small d. It's less than capital C plus capital D. But when we add that means add in that manner, which is added here. It is not actually we adding in algebra. It is a small a plus small c by small b plus small d. It may be greater than capital A plus capital C by capital B plus capital D. Here is an example. Like that 1 by 5 is less than 2 by 8. Okay. 7 by 4 is less than 6 by 3. But 1 plus 7 is 8, by 5 plus 4 is 9. 8 by 9 is greater than 2 by 6, 8 by 8 by plus 8 by 3, 11. That means 8 by 9 is always greater than 8 by 11. Actually, this thing is happened. It is in divided format and it is in aggregated format. Now, we want to understand this phenomenon in vector representation. Okay, so what we did here, that this fraction we represent as in vector space R2. That is that this is the numerator is represented as in y-axis and the denominator is represented as x-axis. So this is 5, here you can see, and this is 1, and this is 7, and this is 4. Now we add it vectorially. So this is 1 by 7, 8, and 5 by 4, 9. Now second one, it is 2 by 8, 2 by 8, it one, and it is 6 by 3. We also added vectorially, but we get that 8 by 11. Okay, so actually what happened, this is adding vectorially. Okay, so but we are trying to understand the result, but See what happened in a vector space, that in any vector, forget about vector space, in any vector, like when we are adding, in basic you can learn from the 10 plus 2 level, that when we are adding to vector, it's not give light exactly same as we done with the scalar property, or in normal sense, like that in vector it may be not every time that 1 plus 1 2, because there are one thing, that is the direction. We did not consider in direction in case of the scalar, but here actually is happening there, that we are adding in vectorially, but when we are comparing the result, then we are forgetting about the direction. We are only concentrating on the uh, on the length of this vector, we can say. If we represent this vector, can anyone say which one is this here, the comparison group, which one is the lurking variable, and which one is the outcome variable? Anyone? Or you can write in the chat box also. I can wait for 2 minutes, or something. Moderator can tell us. Anyone is right? Or you can speak. In these vectorial representation, which one is lurking variable, which one is comparison group, and which is an outcome variable?
Abhinav has said that direction of vector is lurking variable, and Gaurav is asking whether outcome is the resultant summation.
Outcome is the resultant summation. Okay, let me see what is happening here. Now, what is the comparison groups? Comparison groups are two sets of the fraction, where is represent an orange and green, because it's clear that comparison group which I want to compare. Here is comparing the orange fraction and the green fraction, every cases. So this should be the comparison group. Now, outcome variable. Outcome variables are the numerator and denominator. Remember what I told about the outcome variable. Outcome variable in case of the death penalty cases is yes or no, on which basis we are comparing the variable. Okay, but the comparison group, this is that yes or no. Let me think like that, this is the percentage of yes and percentage of no. In case of black, when it is the black victim, when it is the defendant is black. And if you think like that, it is the when white victim and defendant is black, this is the person, how many person is hanged and how many person is not hanged. If think like that, then you can understand that the numerator and denominator are two outcome variable, and we represent the two outcome variable here. And exactly what is said by Abhinav, that lurking variable is the direction. We are don't considering the lurking variable. Actually, this is represented in R2, and we want to see the result in R. Actually, what happened when we were introducing a new variable, at that time, the experiment got changed. Maybe it's the same data set, but the experiment got changed. Like, let us talk about that. If you are doing an experiment one dimensional, that does not match. If you are doing the same experiment, if you are doing the same thing in the two dimensional, the result will be varied, because the experiment got completely changed. Let us think like that in particle in a box in quantum mechanics, like that when you are doing this in one dimensional, that got a one result, and when if you do this thing is two dimensional, that got a different result. Okay, so when you are introducing, at that time the experiment got changed. The similar experiment got the similar result, but the two different experiment can't give the every time the similar result. It can give the similar result, but it's not sure that every time two different experiment give the two different same result. That's why actually we want to forgetting about the direction in that, if the vectorial representation in the same thing happening in the every cases, we are not, when we are not considering one variable, we are actually forgetting this variable, and that was the lurking variable. And we want to, when the compare the result about two different experiment, this can't be possible. If I say it mathematically, so there is no paradox. Actually, this is a mistake. But in general sense, it's a paradox. But in mathematical sense, not a paradox. It's a mistake. We can say it, that in one case, we are comparing one to two completely different experiment. Is it clear to everyone, this vectorial representation? I think. If anyone not, you can speak. Just turn on your mic. Any question on that? Hello? Okay,
No,
Could you please?
actually, on the basis of your, shall I say?
Yes, 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 no problem.
Yeah, the point is on the basis of your representation of in case of drug DRA, DRA. What you're talking about that now? Okay, so you're saying that lacking variable is the directions. Of course, it is true, but outcome variable you're measuring. How can you define it? The numerator and the denominator. Okay, how can I mean the two institute at that look at your database, institution one, institution two. There are
Okay.
two sets of database and and the number of
Yes,
hello,
yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, and the number of number of persons to be tasted are different. Okay, you're taking the ratios only. So your x and y, how do you represent that set, I mean that proportions on your race on your axis?
It is that
Okay,
yes or no. That means is effective or not effective. It's not the total number of
that means to
patients.
dummy your, that means to say you are just taking them the responses yes or no, that means dummy,
Yes,
only the dummies.
yes.
I
And yes or yes.
I think what Shushim is trying to do over here, he is basically showing how the Simpsons paradox can come up by using certain mathematical concepts. So those are so the
That means he is concentrating on only the latent variable, departure of latent variable from one to another. That is the
no,
direction.
basically what he's trying to show is that through this example, what he's trying to show how if we do not consider the lurking variable, your results can get affected. So for example, over here he's not considering the directions and he's adding two fractions vectorially, and then he's comparing the fractions where the order that in which he's comparing is a scalar order. It's not a vector. You cannot compare vectors directly because they have directions and magnitude. Over here,
Yes, of course.
What I want to mean that when we are introducing the lurking variable, that means there are the two completely different experiment. Maybe it's the same data set, but the experiment is completely different when we are analyzing it. That's I want to mean here. That means if you
Okay,
take
okay.
ever the death penalty cases, that when we are considering only the defendant's race, not the victim race, there are only two variables are there. That one
Yes.
is that yes or no, and another set is the defendant's race. But if I am taking the disaggregated format, there are the three sets of variable. One is that victim's race, one is the defendant race, or yes or no. That means there's a completely two different experiment. Maybe the data set is same, but actually what happened, we forget about it. But normally it seems to be not two different experiment because the data set is not the same, but actually it is the two different experiment. Maybe the data set is same.
Okay,
That is
okay.
I want to say.
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you. Carry on, carry on.
Okay.
Fine, fine. Very good.
Okay, now I want to compare it. This type of result we can see in various fields. First, I saw in the social science. Now I am showing an example of economics. It is I collected from Wall Street Journal. It's article from the Wall Street Journal on 2009. Actually, this is that everyone knows that around the 2008 there is a depression all over the world, and which is continuing up to the 2009 also onwards. And there is also one depression on 80s, 1980s. So here it is that if we compare the unemployment rate of USA in these two depression, so this is the total unemployment rate of the every adult over 25 years. In case of the 1980s depression or the 80s depression, it is 8.5%, and it is 2000 in the 2008 it is 2.8%. So in the BRI, in the normal manner, what we can tell that is the 2008 depression is less severe, is less affected than the 1980s. But if we divided this data into basis like that high school dropout or the college graduate, that means on a general sense, that is the more educated people and lesser educated people in normal sense. Education, if we say in the normal sense, then we can got a different result. That means with the high school dropout to unemployment rate in 1980 is 13.6, whereas in 2009 it is 14.9. Oh, by the way, it is the quarterly unemployment rate. Okay. And in the college graduate, it is 3.6 in the 80s, and in 2009 it is 4.9. So in every case it got increased. That means the severity of the unemployment or the severity of the depression in case of 2008, it is more than the 1980s depression. So normally this thing is actually happened is irrespective of country and irrespective of region, irrespective of time, because in normal life we can see this unemployment rate is much lower, but maybe the real situation can different until and unless we can divide this result. Okay, that may be an app, and that is premier example of economics. And on this basis, this is a major problem of economics. So on this basis, government will take new measures to develop to change the scenario, introduce a new policy. If this misinterpretation of data was there, then that can mislead the decision and which can affect more bad. And if there will be thoroughly studied of the data, then they can understand the situation better. So that actually real problem which is associated with our day-to-day life. Now I want to see another problem which is was one of the major problem. It's about the sexism. So in 1970, in the UC Berkeley grad school, there was an allegation on this grad school that they are taking, or they are maybe accepted more number of men than the women, or maybe the percentage of applicants who are getting admitted in case of men, it is more. That means there's something is a biasing or gender bias against the women. So then this data is actually said that there is a 6 large department or the 6 majors are in that grad school of the UC Berkeley. Now, when I divide this result on basis of 6 large department, it shows something again unnatural, or maybe that's not exactly same of this applicant admitted. That is the result. So what you can see, out of the 6 major department, or maybe the 6 large department of the UC Berkeley grad school, out of the 4 out of the 6 department has accepted more number of women than men. You can see that it is a 62%, and the percent of admitted on the basis of application 82% here on the A. In the B, it is 63 for men and the 68 for women. And in the main, it is 33 and it is 35 for women. And on the F, it is 6% for the men and the 7% for the women. That means,
Pushing, what is your data source?
okay, I'm showing this. This is the data source. It's the paper on the Science magazine on 1975, sex bias in graduate admission.
All right.
Okay, so thing is that why it is happening actually, because if you can see, just look at the table, then you can see from A to F there is a gradual decrease of acceptance of the student. You can see the department A accept, irrespective of men and women, they accept more number of students, 62%, 82%, then the 63, 68, and it's gradually decreased, whereas E it's 28%, and in case of 24% it's 6% and the 7%. And if you look at the main applicants, you can see there is a large number of men are applying in those departments, 825, 560, but whereas in E and F there are number of men are applicant is less, and whereas in case of the women they are applying more in those department which is taking more admission. They are applying less in those department which are accepting more student, and whereas they are applying more in those department who are accepting less number of students. So that's why the entire result or the sum result or the aggregated result got different, and actually that affects the entire result. So that means here is the comparison group are male and the female applicant, outcome variable, the percentage is admitted obviously, and the lurking variable acceptance rate or desired measure. That means the more number of women are desired about these measures which are provided on E, department E and the department F. Okay, now let's proceed of the another example in the medicinal science or the medical field. So there are the two possible, let us take the two possible treatment of the kidney stone treatment, that is treatment A and the treatment B. If we succeed all over the result, we can see that the success rate of this treatment A is 78% and the success rate of treatment B is 83%. Now, if we divided these result on basis of small stone and the large stone, we can get a different result. That means in the small stone, the treatment E is 93% and the treatment B is 87%. In the large stone, this is the same thing again happened. The treatment A got 73% and treatment B is 69%. Now, I will show this problem again with the vectorially because this is a real problem, and I will show it represent as vectorially. It's not now an imaginary one. What I showed in last time vectorially, it is the same type of thing will be happening next. Now, this is the small stone. Now, in treatment A is noted as blue and at treatment B is noted as black. This is the result of the small stone. One side is successful case, another side is unsuccessful case. Now it is clear, I think, that outcome variable, what is that 1 by 5 is there, that is one is yes or no, that's successful, unsuccessful in that case. That means, or maybe the death penalty is given or not, like that. This is the outcome. Two variables are stated as these two axes here. Now, is the slope is successful by unsuccessful. Okay, so this is 81% for 81. Now for treatment B, this is the small stone. Now we are going to the large stone. This is the large stone of treatment A. This is the large stone of treatment B. Okay. Now we are going to the combined result. We added vectorially. We're adding it vectorially. Here is the combined result. The same thing is happening in case of the combined result. The treatment B is the more and the treatment A is the less. Because this same thing does different to a different experiment. So this is the outcomes result, or maybe the aggregated result, and that's why the treatment B is better than the treatment A. Now, what I want to say means there is, because why I show you the problem, like there is a two hospitals, maybe they are showing one is following the treatment A, another is following the treatment B. If you show only the aggregated data, and if you will go to the hospital A, we are using the hospital B, we are using okay. If you are going, let me take the two hospital A and hospital B. One is following treatment A, another is following treatment B. Okay, so now if you went to the hospital B because you saw the success rate is there and you saw in the newspaper or their brochure or that or their advisement, they have the greatest success rate. But if you have a small stone, you have more and higher number of chance you can get success in there if you go to the hospital A. So this type of thing, this is type of thing also everywhere when you have to check like that is there, what is the very success, where is the success rate. Now if I can say that there is a two therapy against COVID-19, okay, so now if you check the therapy the efficiency of this therapy against the COVID-19, okay, then there may be the different result respective of the severity of the case. For the moderate result, one case. For the, here I am taking the two variables, small and stone. If I classify in the COVID cases like that, moderate, less symptoms and severe, like that, then it will be different. Now, if you have a less symptoms, then you will go only one particular treatment. If you go have severe cases, then you will go on a different treatment. Okay, but if you show only the aggregated result, you can be misleaded. Okay, so that means it has a huge application when you are approving any treatment, any therapy, any drug or anything like that. So this is our applicable is here. Now it is the 20 years.
Would you mind going back once?
Okay.
Yeah, the previous slide.
Yes.
Great. So in case of small stones, you mentioned that I should opt for treatment A, but what is the sample size? Like it says, so treatment A has 6 failures for 81 success, whereas treatment B has 36 failures for 234 successes. So my point is the sample size for treatment A is much less than the sample size for treatment B. It might so happen that if the sample size for treatment A is increased, then the success rate might go down.
Yeah, it can be happen, but still take it as that there is the practical cases and you have this type of data only.
I get your point, but it also, what I'm trying to focus is that in case of small stones, for example, it just doesn't matter. The success rate is not a good indicator at all times. The sample size matters as well. The number of data you're doing it on, you're working the treatment on, the number of patients who are subjected to treatment and subjected to treatment, we are wildly different, quite different in this case.
That
And
is also my question since the very beginning. That sample number is very important.
Yeah,
Let us not consider about this sample number of samples, as he in the first instance already pointed it out.
yeah, yeah.
So I think we can just skip it out, okay, and
Okay.
concentrate on what he's doing. Sorry, Urchishman.
yeah, and I just wanted to point out because you mentioned treatment B, but that may not be the case always.
Yeah, that is missing for for this analysis. What, depending on his objective to show it, let us forget about number of samples. You may take it homogeneous, you may take it equal number, whatever,
Yeah,
or
sure.
or the inequality which we can tolerate. Okay,
Okay.
sorry.
Now coming to this, okay, it's okay, no problem. Now coming to this one of this interesting example of this symptoms paradox is 20-year smoker survival. What I want to say, what I want to show that because it's very interesting because in UK, it happened in UK that one report is published that the smoker person has greater survivability or greater longevity than a non-smoker. Okay, what they did, they took two groups. Okay, one is smoker and another is non-smoker. That means the experimental group is smoker and the control group is the non-smoker. And they studied this person after 20 years, how many of these two groups are alive. Okay, and they found that number of smoker after 20 years are number of smoker after 20 years is more and the number of non-smoker after 20 years is less. That means there is greater chance of survivability for a smoker. But after publishing this report, there is that massive, you can say, is blow up is everywhere, that everyone astonished. How can it be happen that everyone knows that smoking is injurious to health, it is bad for health, and here is just showing that a person, if he smoke or if he or she smoke, then he can get greater longevity. But thing is that in that case, the lurking variable is the age. Actually, what happened? Is a dissimilarity in the age distribution in case of the control group and the experimental group. Actually, in case of the experimental group, there are the more younger people. Okay, that means in the experimental group, the more younger people contain, and in case of the control group, that with the non-smoker, there are more older people. So normally, there is the chances of the older people getting died very early because the human have this average life expectancy. Take it as 80 years or maybe like that. So if we check that data on basis without basis of the age, we are not considering the age, then at that time the result will be biased. Then what they did after that, they took that result and divided that each set, the smoker and non-smoker, under 65 age and older than 65 age. So what did it found? This is the completely opposite result, that the smoker has lesser survivability or the lesser longevity than the non-smoker. So what I want to say that, because imagine there is a company who are selling cigarette and their market is going down. What they can do, they have some paid researcher, or they can give money to the researcher or fund some institution and publishing some result like that, and they can increase their sale. And that thing actually happened. Now, in case of cigarette, everyone knows that cigarette is injurious for health and smoking is injurious for health. So everyone is concerned. But imagine it is in case of a drug, and that actually happened in this pandemic time. The major example is the hydroxychloroquine. Everyone know that first time that everyone is aware of this hydroxychloroquine when first the COVID outbreak is everywhere around this February onwards. There was the name, February, March onwards. The name was coming about the hydroxychloroquine. It's a game changer or something. Mr. Trump was said that it's a game changer like that. So after there was everyone huge demand of this hydroxychloroquine, and we at the India is the largest one of the most large exporter of this hydroxychloroquine. So we have started to exporting the hydroxychloroquine all over the world, and this thing is happened. But after some months, WHO said that hydroxychloroquine is not very good for COVID, and it can't fight with the SARS-CoV-2. So everyone got astonished. Then what happened after several weeks? Again, WHO says that no, you can use hydroxychloroquine against the COVID. Actually, what happened there? Actually, one paper was published in the premier medical journal Lancet, which claimed that hydroxychloroquine is not effective on the COVID-19. And on the basis of the reputation of the researcher and also the reputation of this journal, everyone accepted this, and WHO declared this thing that hydroxychloroquine is not effective. So now, after that, researcher all over the world, other researcher all over the world, they find that who are working with the hydroxychloroquine, they find this something bizarre, because they are not relying on this research. So they asked the full data set of this experiment. What did it found? Again, there is a dissimilarity in the experimental group and the control group. What it has happened? There is the more number of severe patient in the experimental group. That means the hydroxychloroquine given to the more severe patient. Whereas in the control group, who are giving the other medicine, or maybe in case of the no medicine, in that case, in the control groups, they are the less severe patient. So there is already a chance of the severe patient to die early by this COVID-19. So we cannot say that hydroxychloroquine has no effect on COVID. So that means this result is bad. So that after that, they all over that I think the 300 and more than later was submitted to the Lancet from all over the world, and after that Lancet authority withdraw that paper, and after that WHO again told that you can use hydroxychloroquine. So this thing can be happen. Now normally layman or general public can't understand that what is going on, but they are questioning about the authority to that is WHO is doing like that. This is a regulatory authority, they can't do like that. Yes, there is right to question everyone and should be questioned, but thing is that not all responsibility has the WHO is, because in this pandemic time everyone has not lot much time to check this data thoroughly, check this every experimental data and the whole experimental data set thoroughly, because it's actually work of the reviewer of this paper, journal Lancet, but they took the result. So same thing also happens to the journal of the Lancet, because they in this time they did not check the data thoroughly. So moreover, the responsibility goes to the researcher, because in this pandemic time you have to take a decision impromptu, you can't wait. So this is a very responsibility for the researcher, because what they did when are doing the experiment, there should be a similarity between their control group and the experimental group. Here is the case of similarity on the patient with the severe and the non-severe. That in that case, on the cases of severity, you have to measure the similarity of this weightage. But the last two problems about the drug test result or the treatment result, there is the difference in the sample size, the difference in the weightage. So you have to consider about as much as you have to put the weightage in the same. Also, you have to consider the severity of the patient, age of the patient, maybe sometimes the gender of the patient. On that basis, because so that means what I want to say, when in that case Simpson's paradox, when I started, there is I told that 2 into 2 into 2 variable. That means we are applying there is that moreover the 3 sets of data. Okay, but there may be more than 3 variables like that. That means that in that case in case of the medical research, when are testing a drug or something, there may be the lots of variable like that. With the age of the person, the race of the person, sometimes the race of the from which countries is going on, because the virus, we know that virus changes strain on basis of the country. So lots of variables can be defined. So when you are doing a research, you have to think like that. You can't consider the all variable, but at least you have to concentrate on the research, and when you're doing the experiment, you have to give a similarity on the experimental group and the control group. Now I am going to another example of this in this COVID case, and it was the last example will be that the CFR, case fatality rate between China and Italy. CFR means that case fatality rate is that out of the total cases, how many person is died. Okay, so it is seen that China has lower CFR. That means that China has higher survivability for the coronavirus. But that means that if you are in China, that means you have and you are getting you are affected in the COVID-19, then you have the higher chances of survivability than in Italy. But if you break down it by different age group, that means like that from 50 to 60, 60 to 70, 30 to 40, like that, then you can look that result is completely different. Here is the result. You can see this is the total CFR, the case fatality rate. That means total percentage of person died out of the total affected cases. In case of the Italy, it is in orange, and the China is in blue. So in case of the total, the CFR rate is higher in Italy. Now, if we divided this thing on basis of age, in every cases the China has the higher survivability. China has the higher CFR rate. That means the reward survivability. That means if you are in China and you are affected in COVID, that means you have lesser chance to survive. But why it's happening? Because there is a distribution of the age groups. The percentage of the population was affected in COVID. On that percentage of population, on that sector of population who are affected in the COVID, or maybe the affected population, there are the percentage of the older people is much higher. That means in case of the Italy, the older people are affected more. You can see that older people are affected high. But in case of China, there is very less older people are affected. Whereas in case of Italy, the younger people are affected less. But in case of China, the younger people is affected more. So here is the lurking variable is the age actually. Now consider is a country like federal structure like USA or India, okay, or maybe the quasi federal structure in India. There are the different states are there. Now the central authority wants to send money or infrastructure, want to develop between into one state. Now what will they do? They will compare the case fatality rate, and if they will compare the total case fatality rate, think it like the China and Italy are two states of a federal country, or a country like where the lots of states are there, and the large country where the different states are there. So if I do send the money or send the support the country where the case fatality is rare, then it will be misleading. Because what we can see there, because the case fatality rate in China is much higher will be, because this is for the world. If I divide it in the age group, also one thing, if we saw that in some state, if there are the older people are affected much, then we can making a policy like that older people should stay at home. That means that we can say that the people like over 65 or people like over 70, like if in Italy we want to take a policy, what we can do that after 50 we cannot major case is higher. So what can do in Italy, we can put a restriction. The people who are whose age is more than 50, they can't go outside, not very frequent, without any uh, ultimate reason, without any urgent reason. So in this type of thing happen. So that means not only the research purpose, also in the policy making, these things are very uh, necessary. So now the questions comes that, so how do we avoid falling for the paradox? There is no definitive answer, because we are told there is a paradox. We explain why is the paradox happening. Now we are going to resolve this paradox, but there is actually no definite solution of this paradox. But thing is that what we should do, because when we are looking at data, because now in every physical, in every case or every experiment, there are the lots of variables are here. Like in case of the drug, I can told that the severity of the patient, age of the patient, gender of the patient, sometimes the race of the patient. This also depend. Now, in case of like that any social experiment also, they are like that experiment of the economic, the unemployment rate. What I did that educated people, non-educated people, then we can divide this thing like that. The people is living in city and people is living in village or not. And that basis we can divide, and on that basis we can take in policy measures. So when we have a data, that means when we have when we're not giving when we have already have a data, then we have to study the data as much as details possible. Unless and until we study the data as much as detail possible, we can't get the actual result. We may be biased. The chances of getting wrong is more and more. So there are lots of variable in our world. but we have to consider what we want important for that, and that actually brings with our common sense or maybe at that situation. And the same thing when we're doing an experiment, we have to consider like that there will be much similarity between the control group and the experimental group, like that. So the thing is that people are actually, every people in the world actually biased by their own view. We are thinking that I am right and everyone is biased. This is can be happen. Like it's now I'm actually, when a scientist going to study or research something, it is told that scientists or the researchers should be unbiased. But thing is that when we are going to research and do a experiment something, we have already a preconceived notion. And thing is that the similar thought in my head or the scientist head or who are going to research, that give us to the, we are looking for the similar result. Like that thing, a man, he is a social activist and he believes that yes, there was a racial discrimination on the black and there was a discrimination on the woman. Now, in the death penalty case, what he will do, if he get the aggregated data, he will see, no, there is something is wrong, we will study more. Then he got further and told that, no, there is a racial discrimination. Now, in case of the bad school problem, if he was saying that the women are oppressed, he or she thinks that women are oppressed, then he will stop at that level, that the combined level, he did not go further because what he thinks and what he want to find, that he got. So that is the thing. Actually, every time when we are doing research, we want to find what I want to look for. So that time can affect our result. So remember that when you are doing a research, just remember that every variable as possible, every condition as possible, and try to find out detailed structure. And also one thing, because if you are publish a result like that in a journal or something, because in our scientific world what happens then, because when we are doing a research, we took reference from all of the research. That means same thing when I publishing a paper, that means from this paper there are the lots of paper are going on this experiment. From this experiment they are taking reference as this paper. So if one paper is wrong, one paper is misinterpreted, that means this is will be accumulating lots of paper after one. So that means when you are doing an experiment, that time you have to be careful. The same thing when you are studying a paper, when you are taking a reference for your research paper, at that time you have to be careful. Don't go with the opinion first. See, look at the logics what was given and look at the data carefully. Don't go with the opinion of the paper first. That will helpful for everyone. Thank you.
So on that note, we'll open up the forum for discussions and questions. You can ask your questions directly or post them on the chat box.
Yes. Question? Or you can unmute your mic and yes.
Are you telling that the research or any interpretation should be done on a local basis? What we are conferring after seeing your lecture?
What you want to say? Just repeat your question.
For example, if we compare the results of treatment in West Bengal against COVID-19 and treatment in Delhi or take any state like Rajasthan or somewhere else. So there can confer that the success rate or in West Bengal is lower or in higher, that should not be there, but a localized research should be there, localized interpretation should be there. That there must be different factors operating over there.
Yeah. Actually, the thing is that when you are doing in an experiment, so it's like that. When you are talking about Delhi, it not will be actual for that in a state like a big state like Rajasthan, okay, or Uttar Pradesh or West Bengal, like that. Like Delhi is a very densely populated area, okay. So in that case, the chances of spreading COVID or the is more higher. So that means that maybe there will be the different type of different in the severity of the cases. Okay, so that can be happen. Okay, so when we are actually what happened, the newspaper are telling only the opinion, but if you look at the data carefully, Okay, then you can find that is there any problem in West Bengal or any problem in other state.
So there can be a different type of parameters like population
Yes,
density.
yes, yes. Population density, demography. It's the main important thing is the demography.
Shall I make a comment on it?
Yeah.
It depends on the population distribution.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
The population distribution is the ideal, point. Okay. Is the population homogeneously distributed or not?
Along with that,
That-
you have a population, you have the distribution of ages that makes a very important factor. For example,
Yeah.
in the case of China and Italy, you saw that there's a distribution of ages that was affecting the result. So,
Think like that. On this comment, I have to say that a few weeks back, maybe it's Times of India or Telegraph that the study was article was there that Kolkata was getting older. That means the percentage of number of the population in the Kolkata, their age is getting older because the young generation of the Kolkata, they are leaving the Calcutta and going outside. So that means if a area there is the much older people, you can get more case severity in that area. Huh? I think you understand.
So as per the current situation, the current discussion in this lecture, so we can confer that if the vaccine gets not from Russia, may not work in India.
It depends, but say for the time being, our main motive is design a vaccine. Now we are not considering the race of that because thing is that it is common that irrespective of race, that COVID-19 affected, but the severity of the case is different in case of India and in case of Russia. You can see there is the more number of people in Brazil is dying. In case of India, is very less number of people is dying. If you see the CFR rate, the case fatality rate, but again that you have to see that there is an age distribution because in case of the India, there is the much more younger people are there, and after I think 2025 or something, we will be the youngest population. We have the most youngest population. So in that case, younger people have greater immune system, na? So that means that also differ. So we can't say like that in vague. Okay, so for the time being, our goal is to design a vaccine. If it is not working and not working, that is another thing. That's why in different countries are trying to doing the research. In India, as there is maybe the 3 vaccine trial is going on. One is from the government and 2 other the private company with ICMR. And also like in USA, there are different type of vaccines are there. So each country is trying to develop their own vaccine. That's why.
Sushim,
Yes.
do you think it is always the case that if we increase the number of variables in an experiment, then the experiment gives results that are much more convincing?
Yeah, that I want to say that if I increase the number of variables here, variables in that means not variable like that institution A and institution B. You have to think that what variable affect the cases. But like that, normally we think at that science, that scientific law, not the scientific law, any theory all over the world. If not like that, is India is happening, this theory is good, and in the other state the theory is that. Theory is all over the same. So that's why we have to consider that these variable which are affecting the situation. So that means it's better every time how much variable we can, as many as possible variable we can consider. But it is very difficult to consider all variables.
I want to make a comment on it once again. If you say if your number of variables are increased but your number of observations are not increased, then you have a big problem. Big problems regarding degrees of freedom. That is an econometric issue.
Yeah, actually,
So before adding the variables, you have to take into account the multicollinearity problems. Number one. Number two, the degrees of freedom on which your test statistic depend. Sorry.
yeah. Okay. So there is a question that we have proper weightage and each of variable to obtain proper statistical base. Yes, exactly.
Sushim, we have a question.
Okay, first, beautiful fact. Thank you. Welcome.
Sure.
I want to know that what is the motivation of the talk. How do you came? Actually, first I saw a lecture on this. Actually, this lecture was actually based on the inductive science and the deductive science. There, first I saw this the thing, the Simpsons paradox thing. So that was in my mind. But after that, what happened? Because there are the scarcity of the speakers in this session, so I have to prepare something. So I thought that the Simpsons paradox is a nice thing and it has a application. Then I searched that thing in over internet, how much data I can aggregate. Then in that case, I got this paper that this the case fatality rate on this coronavirus and case. Then I saw that there is the many example like that in case this current situation. So I think that this is will be a very important discussion on this situation. So that's why this is the motivation. Anything more? Any question?
I mean, the thing which is happening with the data sets, I mean, the percentages getting flipped like that, can we actually call it as an error? I mean, should we?
What? Again?
I mean, the Simpsons paradox, where we can see that due to that, I mean, bad distribution of, I mean, not bad, like, not a good distribution of data. We are,
Your
hello?
voice is breaking. Just repeat your question.
My question is that this Simpson paradox which is occurring,
Hello?
should we? Hello?
Or maybe
Hello? 1 minute. Okay.
it's better if you write the questions. You should go.
Okay, I'll do that. 1 minute.
It's in mathematical sense, it's error, you can say, but in general sense, because it's popularly known as paradox, that's why it's called as paradox. Okay, but in mathematical sense, we can call it as error because we are comparing. What I want to say that we are comparing two different experiments and expecting the same result. That's why it's a error actually, mathematical sense.
It's more of a methodological error as compared to a mathematical error. I suppose that's my take on it. Because you cannot compare two different things, two different experiments.
Yeah, actually, it's two different experiments.
So, are there any other questions?
Actually, before taking the raw data, should we take data cleaning or data mining? What is your impression? You have collected data. Clear. After collecting data, how do you carry on your experiments? On the basis of this, say either cross sections or collected from some agency, which is secondary, whatever be. What is the first task that we do with, because you're pointing out that you have to learn your data, you have to see your data. Hello?
Can you just repeat, because maybe my network connection is destabilized
Am I audible? Hello?
Yes,
Yeah,
audible, but your voice was broken.
I think that's
Sushim, I think the problem is with your network because she's clear to everyone.
Yeah, I think you should.
Okay, I'm writing.
And
okay, better. Maybe
Tisho Gupta has a certain question
okay.
in the chat box.
Actually, call. Okay. Can we actually call the sort of error of paradox arising due to incorrect distribution of data as an error? And so, what is would happen? We made careful analysis of uh, what would happen if we made a careful analysis of error occurring. Okay. See, first of all, that your first question, that incorrect distribution. See, not all the cases are incorrect distribution, because there is a, if you say that what I stated, the drug problem and that uh, treatment problem, kidney treatment problem, in that case, Ishubhut has left the meeting. Let him join the space question. Oh, he is here. Okay. So, okay. Okay, no, first of all, I want to comment on that is that usable distribution. So there is no thing about the distribution. If you pointed out these two cases, this is distribution, but this is more concentrate on the variable. How much variable are you considering this thing? Okay, so this is the error on basis of the variable, not the distribution. Make it clear. And so if what happen, what would happen if we make careful analysis of the error occurring? See, careful analysis means we have to consider the more variable. If we consider the more variable, then we can avoid the error. That's the thing. I think you get it, Shibuktu?
Yes. Okay. Got it.
Okay. What is the fast way of collecting data set? How the data is treated? Data cleaning, data collecting. Okay, so collecting the data means, see, it's but are you asking about how I collected those data? No, is this about
No. Actually, I'm saying audible.
Hi, yes, you are audible.
Yes. When you have taken data,
Yes.
so you have to perform some data mining or data cleaning. I mean, suppose you have collected the raw data,
Yeah.
just raw data, either in absolute form or in ratio form. So first of all, you need to use those data to fit for your objective.
Okay.
How have you handled your data? Because to make or to take any decision issue, your main problem is decision taking.
Yes.
In my regard, dealing with the data or using the data to fit for my decision is very important to know. Simple example, you can take ratio or you can take any filtration, can pooling your data. That is the kind of aggregation. This is an econometric training, econometric technique, pooling of data, either time series or cross section. If you go through that, data designing is the subject. If you go through that, then you know that how the raw data can be treated. Data should be given some treatment before taking it to analyze. Clear?
Yeah. Okay.
Since you are doing research on it, so that is the first thing to do. And I just
Okay, so
think
like
that
I'm giving an
I need to
example.
point it out.
Okay, like giving an example, there's the first paper which I shown that this the Florida death penalty cases. In that case, actually, this paper was stated that he was studied over the 600 cases. Okay, so but if you okay, I want to show it again. That if you look at the total number, it is like that 376. Like, okay, actually in that case, like that here, first collecting the raw data, then he has to collect that non-primary cases is taking, then out of which he is taking that which conviction are reliable or not, in that's of the thing, like that. Are you talking about that? I think
No, it's something different. Okay, I'll tell it to Tishwan. He will communicate it to you.
Okay.
Because this is a very good paper, very good, very good theme, very good work. So I think I should add, I will tell it to Archishman, some resources I will give it to you through Archishman
You
regarding
can mention them.
Actually, I have not much
Regarding-
knowledge about this data science or nothing. I want to just concentrate about the data we have to deal with our future research purpose like this. If you are going anyone going to this in biological science or chemical science and you taste this drug, something in that case it will be very helpful in his future purpose. I am concentrating on about that,
but I not much aware of this the data science.
No. I know. I know.
Okay.
Since you're working and your paper is amazing, I liked it. So I think I should give you a suggestion regarding that, and also give you a suggestion regarding the cases of unemployment in case of 2008 and 1980, because the two situations were completely different. One is in the case of global financial crisis. That is, I mean, everything depends on the situation, the shock, the shock.
and
That
then
shock is
definition was
important.
different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think if you want to mention some resources, you can mention it over here, so that will be helpful for everyone.
No, I think I am disturbing you a lot.
No.
I should stop now.
No, you can type it. Okay, there is a
I'm
next.
a very talkative person, I know.
Is there any advantage or disadvantage with amount of sample number? Many have advantage with a high number of sample. What is the advantage if we consider the less number of samples? So it's every time we have a greater advantage if we take the large sample, because like that, if we toss a coin like that, if we toss one time, so what you will get? You will get either head or tail. That means your result will be always 1 or 0. That means the probability of result. But if you are tossed the multiple time, then you as much as possible you will go to that is the actual result, which should be the 0.5. So that means every time it's better to take a larger data set when you are experiment as much as possible. But in case of like that in drug testing or in the chemical science or biological science, it's not very much possible, because if you are doing this experiment lots of time, it take lots of time, it's taking money, it's taking instrument, it's taking manpower, everything. So
It's not actually possible, but as much as possible we have to take
सुनाई दे रहा है
is a big data set. Yeah. With very high what Gaurav Haldar is tell that with very high sample size we will reach more close to the steady state distribution. Actually, it is actually. Okay, fine.
ये तो
Anything more?
हाँ
Hello.
If there isn't anything else, then
Then
we can-
we'll end the session. And thank you everyone for listening.
right. And I think what my mom was mentioning was that something along the lines, when you take a certain data, then it's not always that you can directly use the data. You need to kind of treat it and
कौन सा
Walk
audio?
some-
Yeah.
कुछ audio तो नहीं कोई ऐसा
Yeah,
कुछ audio
obvious.
मेरे को तो
Yeah.
कुछ सुनाई नहीं
right. So I think it's important, like for anyone working in fields related to statistics or biostatistics or anything like that.
नहीं
I think it's important to
किसी टाइप के
know these
incoherent
techniques.
background sound आया था but
Yeah.
किसी को समझ में नहीं आया होगा
So is there
कुछ
is
ऐसा
any
हुआ
question?
भी।
So I want to
मतलब
thank you
मेरे को
everyone
ऐसा
and
कुछ
thank you
सुनाई
for
नहीं दिया
listening.
था।
And I asked to moderator to end the session. Thank you everyone again.
हाँ
all right. Thank you everyone for
नहीं
attending.
मतलब बात cover
And
कर रहा
we'll
है कोई,
meet next
ऐसा कुछ
Sunday, I
सुनाई नहीं
suppose.
दिया।
Yeah.
Right.
At the end.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm closing the meeting.
हाँ एकदम आया हुआ था